Welcome to hole number one of the Neon City 9-hole cup. Now, setting up here with an extra mile level 5 and a navigator, giving it 4.5 bars of topspin and at least 1 bar of right spin. You can definitely play a lot of these shots with bigger, fancier balls, but I think you're going to enjoy a lot of this old school footage. I confirmed with Playdemic, and we'll be playing from the original tee location, the original hole locations, excuse me, here from the front tee. Now, you will notice that I down the middle of the fairway, I gave it a little bit of circle break over power. That's because of this headwind. And a like inner wall right curl, just a quarter ball right curl or something like that. Second shot here, playing this one with the long iron. I choose to use the backbone quite often, but you can use whatever works well for you. Now this one, because of the Marlin having one side spin only, we're setting up a little bit spicy here. About 0.2 top, 1 bar of left spin. And I'm going to adjust this shot 10% mid. Now, I would strongly consider using something with more side spin here so you can set up a little bit further to the right and great proof this shot a little bit. You can notice here that if you were to hit a great left here, you're going to be bouncing over the green. You can also bounce just on that fairway with a little bit of backspin and some side spin to get this one over to the green just the same. I like to go this way, but you got to do you. Okay, so hole number 2, I'm going to show you a couple of options here. The first one being a straightforward bounce over shot. You see that I'm playing with a basic ball, but I'm going to recommend you bring a Marlin, always in a tournament. And as well, take a look at that second bounce. You could play a second bounce rough bump here to slow it down a little bit. You'll have to take a few practices to get that one figured out just so. But this one here, I have that second bounce just before the rough. Now, take into consideration the wind and the direction of the wind in your shot. If you have a direct headwind, you might need to use a little bit of topspin here. And if you have a direct tailwind, you might need to use a little bit of backspin. All in all, though, this is a general technique to get it down there. Bouncing on the first fairway just ends up on the rough with that wind push. And oh, so close. Gives you a very nice little look at it. Hole number 2, this time is a rough bump. Now, you'll notice a strong headwind here in this example. Only having like 3 bars of backspin, that headwind is very, very important here. If you don't have headwind on this shot, you will need much more backspin to achieve the same result, okay? So you notice that yellow ring is not quite centered, but slightly back in the last strip of rough. And I got that ball guide just trickling down towards the hole. There's quite an angle on that rough, and it will kick the ball forward. So you do need to consider that when you're taking your shot. Tailwind in this, it's going to send this thing flying. So we have to set it up. Comes in a little bit hot, but right on line. Gives you a very good chance. Hole number 3, this can be a difficult par 5, but it is certainly within reach. And with good technique, a little bit of luck, you should be able to get this one down there. Setting up with my EM5. 4.5 top and 2 bars of right spin. I know you see a bunch in the example. That's how the game used to be. But currently, the Quasar has 2 bars, and that's how much we're going to use there. So 10% max on the adjustment here. You know, see me pushing up. I don't think I would do that these days. Instead, I would give it a little bit more overpower, maybe circle break overpower, and then about a quarter ball or middle wall right curl here, just to keep this one in line down the middle of the fairway. And this is going to put us in a very safe position to play a wood club. That tree can get in your way. You may need to give it a little more or a little less just to keep that out of your way. Second shot here, in the video example, I do adjust at 10%. And you'll notice that we just needed a little bit less adjustment. That's why I'm going to recommend 5% to be the number you play here. Just about 2 bars of backspin, and there's a couple little clicks of right spin here. You know, I didn't used to be as precise as far as setting up my shot, so I don't know how important that is. It might be a very bad thing in this example, or it might be the exact thing you need. So you always need to do the practice, get yourself familiarized with the shots. But I'm trying to give you the general path, the route, the technique, the balls, the clubs, elevations that you can play to get your tournament rounds off to a good start and hopefully to finish strong with those banners. So coming in a little warm, but right about on line, just slightly over pulled. I think you give yourself a very good look here with a couple of practice swings. Okay, so hole number 4, this part of 3. First of all, I'm going to show 2 techniques. This one is the bounce shot onto this little island. Using about 3 bars of backspin, I would upgrade from the basic ball to a navigator or even a katana ball to put yourself in position to not need to use any overpower. 10% max adjustment here is really all it's going to take to get this one to bounce in the middle of this pad, which we accomplish, and roll in very, very nicely, giving you a really legitimate chance to get the drop here. Hole 4 with the rough bump here. Now, I do elect to play the Kingmaker ball with this Goliath 6 because I really felt confident about this shot. You notice how I have a wind angle that has me not pulling down into the bunker? I prefer that here. I'd like to use a crosswind or a headwind for this shot. Now, I only added spin for 0.5 bars of backspin, and I will be adjusting this shot at 10% max elevation here once I decide that gigantic 1201 pull angle. I didn't really know too much about that back then, but the pull angle is very, very important in the outcome of the shot here. So keep that in mind. All in all, rough bump looks good, feels good, rolls in at a beautiful speed at the pin. That's what I wish for you. Hole number 5, this par 4, I know everyone's going to send it down the middle, but I don't recommend that for most rookie players. Extra mile 5 and a Marlin ball here. We're going to give this one ultimately 3 bars of top spin and 1 bar of left spin. The idea is to just kind of roll up in the crook of that kidney-shaped sand trap without going into it. That might take a couple of shots of practice there to get your landing position dialed in perfectly. But once you do, a perfect ball here should put you in a very, very nice place. You'll notice I had about half of that red ring in the rough on the left. But depending on the wind here will depend on how you might choose to do that. Second shot here with the thorn, going to use about 3.2 bars of backspin, and we actually make the adjustment here at 40% mid distance. Part of that is because of the headwind, cross headwind, but also because it is a nice big drop coming down here. The proof is in the pudding, as they say. How about if I get this drop? You subscribe to the channel, hit that thumbs up button. We're getting oh so close to 10K, and I'm planning a big celebration stream for the end of the year, somewhere around New Year's. I might even have some giveaways and exciting things like that. So subscribe, make sure you hit that bell so you don't miss out on when we go live. There she goes, get in the hole, come on. Okay, so hole number 6, I bring in a Titan and a big topper here. We're going to adjust this shot importantly at 10% mid elevation, and I want you, even if you need to bring a Zerk here to get this done, I really recommend you do so. You see I'm switching here to the big topper, as we mentioned, max top spin here, and we're gonna go 1 bar of left spin, and you see that second bounce is just in the dark rough. It's just one setup here. You definitely, if you've got a headwind, set it up with the Titan just like this, and then switch to the Zerk for your second shot. Now, you might need to adjust 20% in that situation as well. But you see there, it gives us a nice bit of room. I'm just clicking like bottom teeth over power, if anything. You don't want to clip the rough here on this drive. Make sure you take a practice so that you don't do so. We do clip the rough, and we are just fine rolling out anywhere onto this fairway surface. Now, you'll see why the direct line to the pin here gives us a very, very good chance to get the drop. And with these original hole locations, this pin is set up in an absolutely perfect situation. You might wonder what I was waiting for. I used to play the game on 2 iPads simultaneously, so that's where I was checking my notes there. 1 bar of backspin with the rough bump here, and I've got the tip of the ball guide running just directly to the pin. In this 2.2 mile-an-hour crosswind, we're going to use 10% max adjustment here. Using a Kingmaker on a shot like this, you know, getting that wind down, I don't know, 1.8, 1.7, who knows? But, you know, it really, really can make a big difference between getting the drop or not. So perfect's important as well. Make sure you hit the perfect, and make sure you hit the thumbs up button. Come on, baby, get in the hole. Hole 7, our final par 3. I'm going to play here with the Marlin ball, but you're going to see the basic is absolutely something you could try to work with. And I kind of snuggle up that half that red ring in the crook of that left second fairway here, giving this one a maximum backspin in this situation, but I would recommend anywhere between 3 to 5, depending on the wind that you have. We're going to use maximum curl with this shot as well. I'm giving it a little tiny bit of overpower there. It looks to be circle break or so with the headwind, but doesn't look to be entirely necessary. Safe play, but I think you're going to like the rough bump. The rough bump on hole number 7 is as close as you're going to get to a must-drop par 3. Almost anywhere in the game. Giving this 2 bars of backspin and just setting it up with the tip of the ball guide here with the Goliath 4 and a basic ball. You can play the Marlin. I recommend even a Navigator to cut down that wind even further. Now, you notice with this low-level club, the gigantic yellow ring, you just kind of have to work with it and get the tip of the ball guide where it needs to be, center it up, hit perfect. This one, like I said, is going to give you a very good chance. It can be frustrating, but it's absolutely droppable. Hole number 8, this par 4, you're almost always going to choose to play on the left-hand side here. 4 bars of top spin, 2 bars of left spin here with the extra mile 4 and a Titan ball. And you'll notice how I've got that yellow ring touching the top of the rough there. Second bounce, it's a little bit shy of the fairway, but we've got a good wind push from behind us here. This is another situation where if you had a headwind, you could certainly switch to the setup with the Titan and then switch to the Zerk. Using like 3/4 of a ball of left curl here, that's very important. It's going to help get this one to bounce nicely on the fairway. And what that does, if you're on the fairway, it puts us in a beautiful position to play a short iron here. And of course, I'm probably going to pick the thorn. With that thorn, I'm going to adjust here. Well, we're going to give it 1.5 to 2 bars of backspin, depending. And I'm going to play this shot at 10% mid. This one, especially with this original hole location, has actually been very consistent for me traditionally. And I hope that holds up in the tournament as well. It's going to be fun. I'll be playing pro in the 9-hole cup, and we'll be making notes live on stream. And then I'll be posting them for free, as always, on erelicgaming.com. As well, on erelicgaming.com, you'll find a set of free PDF notes for this video. They're already uploaded, ready for you. So if you want to have a place to jot down any little tweaks and such, I've got that there for you for free. Hole number 9, it says par 5. It might as well be a par 6, okay? You should probably bring a Titan here. I'm just saying, 4.5 bars of topspin with a good tailwind. It's not too bad. And we're setting up here with the extra mile. Red ring touching the rough on the right-hand side. We're going to make a nice, clean adjustment here. And, you know, the expectation is most players in rookie are going to struggle even to achieve a birdie on this hole. So keep in mind, you want to have a strong plan coming in here. I give this a couple clicks of overpower just into the teeth. You know, I have to be careful here. There's a bit of room to work with, but not too much. You do want to have that second bounce. Roll out on the fairway. It's going to make sure you get a decent amount of distance here. Speaking of distance, you're going to see why the power 3, 4, or 5 ball would come in very handy here. We got a long ways to go still. So using the Viper, because it has good accuracy at low levels, you could certainly bring a big dog here, but you need to be careful because you don't want to put it in the rough here. This one, I'm being a little aggressive. 2 top max overpower. I don't know. Be careful with that. This one, you know, it's a long hole. We're just doing what we do to try to keep this one in play. Just barely bounces over here, and this does put us in a good position for the second shot. With that second shot, I'm going to use a 0-spin rough bump with a mid-distance Goliath here. You can see we could also bounce over, but there's something a bit finicky about that shot because the second bounce lands on quite an upslope. If you can, I think the rough bump here with care is a safer option. Now, on these old courses, there's certainly you know, speed rolls, little glitchy spots where you're gonna hit a dead spot and roll back into the sand. It's a tough hole, you know, and there's many ways to play it. There's aggressive paths, but with a little bit of luck, and you're gonna hit perfect, you'll see how this one comes in nicely, gives you a chance. Good luck in the Neon City 9-hole cup, and thank you so very much for watching.